At 6:03 a.m., I was sitting on my dock with a cup of coffee in one hand and my fishing rod in the other, watching the sun rise over the lake I had bought, paid in full just yesterday, when two police cruisers rolled in, lights flashing across my water like I was hosting a crime scene, and the officers stepped out, hands hovering near their holsters, to tell me I was trespassing on my own damn property. That was the moment I realized Princess Dolores, the HOA president, wasn't just a nuisance, she was a storm I hadn't seen coming. My name is Garrett Mitchell, and for 15 years I'd worked as a machinist, the kind of job that leaves your hands rough but your spirit steady. My late wife Sarah used to ride with me past Old Mill Lake every Sunday after church. She'd rest her head against the truck window and whisper, "Someday, Garrett, someday that's where we'll be." When cancer took her last spring, the apartment became a tomb I couldn't breathe in. Before she passed, she made me promise, "Don't you dare spend your life hiding from the world. Buy the lake house. Live the life we talked about." So when Widow Henderson listed her 2.3-acre property with 400 feet of shoreline, I didn't hesitate. It felt like Sarah nudged me forward. I paid cash, signed the papers, walked the dock as the boards creaked under me like a welcome home. I had owned the property less than 48 hours when Princess Dolores descended on me, 900 a.m. sharp, like she had an internal radar that sensed joy and needed to crush it. White Lexus rolls up my gravel drive, polished like it's afraid of dirt. Out steps Dolores Whitmore, silver hair designer, athleisure face, pulled tight enough to bounce sunlight. Her perfume hit me before her voice did, thick, sharp, like chemical warfare. "Welcome to Lakeside Estates," she announced, looking at my work boots like they were biohazards. "I'm the HOA president. We need to discuss your suitability for this community." Suitability. The word slid out of her mouth with the same tone you'd use to describe mildew. Then came her commandments: no fishing before sunrise, no boats before 7, no guests unless approved. 48 hours ahead, no work vehicles in driveways, clearly aimed at my pickup. And then she added, "The previous owner understood her place." That was it. That was the moment I realized this woman didn't think she was running a neighborhood, she thought she was running a kingdom, and I was the peasant who'd wandered into her throne room. I tried brushing her off, but she wasn't done. Day 3. I'm quietly fishing on my own dock, the same spot that once calmed Sarah during her chemo treatments. And suddenly I hear the machine gun rhythm of high heels on wood. "You're disturbing protected waterfowl," she shrieked. I held up my Walmart fishing rod. "Ma'am, I'm catching bluegill. With corn." "This isn't some trailer park, sir." She spit the word "sir" like profanity. "People like you don't understand property values. People like me." I didn't know whether to laugh or throw her in the lake. By that afternoon, I got a certified letter claiming I was running a commercial fishing operation. The fines were already printed, $500 a day. The next day brought code enforcement. Then an environmental inspector. Then a complaint about unpermitted structures, meaning the perfectly legal dock that was built before I was even born. Every day a new attack. Every attack hitting only 3 properties, mine, old Ezra's shack, and the vacant lot. The only 3 homes not under HOA rule. Then came the insult disguised as generosity. Dolores showed up with 2 board members, both wearing cologne strong enough to fumigate the county. "We're prepared to make a generous offer," she said. $280,000, $60,000 less than I'd paid 5 days ago. I told her no. Her smile faded into a blade. "Mr. Mitchell, this community has expectations, standards. We have worked very hard to protect our way of life." "And what way is that?" I asked. "The right way," she answered, eyes cold as the lake in winter. That night I sat alone on the dock, watching the sunset ripple gold and orange across the water. I wanted this place to be home. I wanted to keep my promise to Sarah, but suddenly I felt like a trespasser in my own life. Still, I knew her. She'd look me dead in the eyes and say, "Garrett, stand your ground." So I decided to fight, though I didn't yet understand just how deep Dolores's claws reached. The next morning, my boat launch road was blocked, 3 giant boulders, each the size of a washing machine, arranged like some kind of HOA Stonehenge. A yellow sign read, "Temporary Landscaping Project." The smell of fresh diesel on the gravel told me someone had moved these rocks in the dead of night. So I went somewhere. HOA tyrants never expect a victim to go to the county recorder's office. Old property maps spread across the counter like treasure maps. And there it was, a thin line on a 1923 survey marking my access road as a public easement established 30 years before the HOA even existed, meaning they had no legal right to block it. At all. I paid $47 for certified copies and left the building with a grin I hadn't felt in months. But Dolores wasn't slowing down. Anonymous complaints, sudden inspections, rumors spreading like algae bloom. By midweek, folks at the hardware store wouldn't even look me in the eye, and little by little I began wondering if I'd made a mistake, if I'd bought into a nightmare. There was a moment late at night sitting in my silent cabin when I almost looked up the number for a realtor. Almost. Then came the twist I never saw coming. Ezra, the quiet hermit up the shore, shuffled over with a cardboard box older than both of us. Inside were original 1952 lake development documents, and buried in those yellowed pages was the truth my property wasn't just exempt from HOA authority, it held superior rights. The founder who once owned my land had funded most of the lake development, and in exchange he secured permanent veto power over anything the HOA wanted to do. Lake access, dock rules, road maintenance, boat launches, everything. Dolores had spent 30 years swinging a scepter made of paper mache, and I suddenly held the real crown. But before I could use it, things took a darker turn. Someone put sugar in my boat engine. Someone filed a false sewage complaint that led to 3 days of drilling rigs and hazmat suits trampling my yard. Someone planted a GPS tracker under my truck. Social media exploded with posts calling me a criminal. And then at 11 p.m., I got the call that nearly ended everything. Harold Whitmore, Dolores' own husband. His voice shook as he said, "She's planning to plant drugs in your cabin. Make it look like a welfare check gone wrong. You need to protect yourself." And then he handed me the recordings, hours of Dolores plotting revenge, sabotage, even arson. She wasn't just a bully anymore. She was spiraling into criminal insanity. That was the moment the switch flipped. I was done being afraid. I was done wondering if I belonged here. I belonged more than she ever had, and now I had proof. My lawyers and I prepared everything. Evidence, timestamps, federal civil rights filings, environmental violations, conspiracy charges, insurance fraud, and avalanche she couldn't outrun. And then on Monday morning, I taped the most devastating piece of paper in HOA history onto her gate notice that all HOA access to lakefront roads across my property was revoked, effective immediately. By 8 a.m., her phone calls were coming in non-stop. By noon, the entire community was in panic. And by 7 p.m., the emergency HOA meeting looked like a courtroom mixed with a funeral. Dolores stood at the podium, makeup cracking under the lights, ranting about how I was destroying the community. She swung her arms pointed at doctored photos, threw around lies like confetti. Her voice pierced the room until Sheriff Thompson stood and said, "Mrs. Whitmore, you are currently under investigation for multiple criminal offenses." The room went silent. I rose slowly, documents in hand, feeling every ounce of Sarah's strength behind me. I read the 1923 easement, the 1952 founding charter, the section proving my property held superior rights for 70 years, and I told them the truth. Every fine, every threat, every restriction Dolores had imposed was illegal. Dolores snapped. "People like him don't belong here," she screamed. That was it. Her mask shattered. The sheriff called 2 deputies forward. Reporters scribbled furiously. Neighbors stared with wide, stunned eyes as the woman who ruled their lives for 3 decades finally choked on her own power trip. And just like that, the storm was over. The lesson is simple. Bullies fall the moment you stop bowing and start standing.